Buenos días a todos de nuevo. Muchas gracias por asistir a este webinar. Como pequeño adelanto, como bien decía el otro ponente de NET, que sería la feria Paint&Coatings, que se celebrará el próximo 16 y 17 de noviembre. Esta vez parece ser que sí, que ya va a ser presencial. Y estaremos en el stand 102, así que os esperamos allí. La semana pasada, bueno, estuvimos presentes en este mismo webinar con uno de nuestros proveedores, con ColorLight, y hoy vamos a tener la asistencia de dos. Ahora a continuación VMA Getzmann y a las 11:30 mi compañero Ricardo Vila con la firma TQC también, y siempre con soluciones para la industria de la pintura y recubrimientos, como bien sabéis. Antes de presentaros el siguiente ponente de la firma VMA, me voy a presentar yo mismo y una pequeña pincelada de la empresa en la que trabajo, Lumaquin. Yo soy Chema Moreno, muchos de vosotros ya me conocéis porque llevo en la empresa pues muchos años, desde el año 97, primero como responsable del SAT y luego desde el 2013-2014 aproximadamente como asesor técnico comercial. Es decir, que toda una larga experiencia en el mundo de laboratorios. Aquí tenéis mi ficha, bueno, cualquier cosa pues me mandáis un correo aquí al correo que aparece en la presentación. Lumaquin hace como 45 años, aquí podéis ver la fachada del edificio, estamos en Montornès del Vallès, cerca de Barcelona, con la idea de dar soluciones a los diferentes sectores de la industria, sobre todo a nivel de laboratorio, donde suministramos equipos, consumibles, pues todo para el control de calidad y en algunos casos pues también disponemos de equipos, pues planta piloto, laboratorio y producción hasta 2.000 litros, como es el caso este de recubrimientos que estamos hablando hoy mismo. ¿Qué fabrican nuestros clientes? ¿Qué fabricáis vosotros? Principalmente, pues fabricáis recubrimientos, como es el día de hoy, ¿no? Pues tales como pueden ser pinturas, tintas, barnices, esmaltes, entre otros. Componentes para automoción, accesorios para automoción también. Sector de packaging, como no, pues papel, cartón, film, cosmética, farmacia, tema textil, material eléctrico y electrónico, componentes plásticos, marcas viales y un largo etcétera. Aquí también podemos destacar clientes del ámbito pues, de centros tecnológicos, universidades. Nuestra filosofía de negocio. Somos técnicos especialistas en diferentes sectores y productos que fabrican nuestros clientes y os podemos proporcionar cualquier tipo de equipo, accesorio, consumible de primerísima calidad para vuestro laboratorio. Es por este motivo por el que trabajamos con primeras marcas. Os podemos asesorar y ayudar con vuestras necesidades, os proporcionamos servicio de asistencia propio, damos una respuesta rápida a nuestros clientes y estamos siempre a vuestra entera disposición cuando se nos necesita. Es decir, ofrecemos una mejora continua del servicio. ¿Cómo podemos ayudaros a controlar la calidad de producto en vuestro proceso de producción de un recubrimiento? Bueno, pues ahora os explicaré a continuación, veréis un cuadro, es un cuadro de procesos en la fabricación del recubrimiento y ahora a continuación os lo explico. En este cuadro podemos ver en el plano horizontal el proceso de fabricación de recubrimientos, desde su inicio hasta su acabado. Y en el vertical podemos ver los ensayos y parámetros que influyen en cada paso del proceso. Asimismo, podemos ver longitudinalmente pues, todas las diferentes marcas o soluciones que tenemos y el nombre de la representada con la que trabajamos. Son diferentes soluciones para cada ensayo. De esta manera, pues podemos controlar todo el cuadro, desde el proceso inicial hasta el proceso final, que es ya el distribución o punto de venta. En este caso, vamos a hablar del proceso de dispersión y molturación, con la colaboración de una de nuestras representadas, VMA Getzmann. Os voy a explicar un poquito, una pincelada también. VMA es una empresa dedicada a fabricar equipos de laboratorio, planta piloto y producción para recubrimientos, hasta 2.000 litros. Desde la fundación de la empresa, que fue en el año 72, el nombre de VMA Getzmann ha sido sinónimo de producción de sistemas de dispersión, molturación, innovadores y de alta calidad, por supuesto equipados con dispositivos de seguridad integrados y de acuerdo con la directiva de la UE, de la que a continuación nos va a explicar ahora el señor Christian Getzmann. Now I'm pleased to introduce you Mr. Christian Getzmann, who will tell you more and better about the company, VMA and the topic, safety systems and new control in compliance with the regulation for DISPERMAT and dispersing machine. Go ahead, Mr. Christian.
Okay, so let me start to introduce myself a little bit and our company. It's an older picture from our company from, I think, 2000. I want to talk today a little bit about new controls and compliance with the European safety regulations. The safety is an aspect which is getting more and more strict, especially for dispersing machines, as you have turning dissolver discs, and they may hurt people. And of course, the controls we build, the machines we build, they have to be in compliance with the laws of Europe. And the second subject we have, if we have time, I want to go through quickly what explosion proof means for dissolvers, for laboratory, pilot plant, and also production machines, for our controls, and also with the new safety module we have released. Few words about our own company. It was founded in 1972 by my parents, Hermann and Elke. We are now the second generation. I'm managing director since 1990, so 20 plus years already, together with my brother Martin. So we are 100% family-owned business. We have a 10 million plus turnover, and we are around 65 people, and we have totally 45 years experience of dispersing technology. And we just do dispersion technology, so we don't do anything else. We are located in the center west of Germany, so in the area of Cologne. Most people know Cologne, Bonn, the former capital of Germany. We have an own design department, so we tailor-make dissolvers due to the needs of the customers. We have also, we are supplying originally the paint and coatings industry, but meanwhile it's also inkjet, ceramic, pharmaceutical industries, adhesives. There are various industries. Wherever you do dispersion, particle reduction in a wet process, it will be a project for our company. So few pictures from my parents in 1972, and you can see the first DISPERMAT was born in 1973. And you could see the very first DISPERMATs, they had already a shaft protection pipe. The container was held with a simple clamping, but there was no limit switch, no nothing. In 1985, we built a first bead mill with an own built computer. In 1990, we opened our laboratory. In 92, we opened our pilot plant. Okay, that's me, my brother and myself, the company. We did an extension last year. It's now finished. We basically doubled the space. We are worldwide represented in more than 45 countries, like in Spain through Lumaquin. We keep several patents. We provide solutions to customers, and important, we have a lab and pilot plant for customers. So whenever you feel the need of a trial, we are more than happy to welcome you. So let's talk about dissolver technology. The very first units we have seen, the picture. On the right side, you could see the machines. It's a larger gap in the early 1990s. You could see that this machine was built with a counterweight. So you have a chain. You have a chain where the motor is gone by this chain into a counterweight. So it was balanced by the counterweight. Nobody thought about what happens if the chain breaks. Nobody happens, is there any security for the people working underneath with their hands? Nobody thought, do we need to have some kind of limit switches? So that was very much standard, and you can see abroad in many places still it's using like this. In the end of the 1990s, 99, we started even for the smaller DISPERMATs to have safety devices. And that time it was an option. A safety device meant by that time a firm clamping of the container is necessary. The dissolver disc is inside the container, and you are not able to swing the motor to the left or to the right. So that was conform with the
standards of the BG, that is the Union for People Safety in Germany. So we keep that as our standard, but there was no law as such. In the year 2000, for little larger dispermats with more than 2.2 kilowatt, there was a possibility to get covers as an option. There were limit switches, but you could see there were safety things here in the back where we tried to set the limits, the lowest points and the highest point, so nobody can get hurt. But there was no way of redundancy of limit switches. It's like braking with a car. You have different cycles. If one cycle breaks, the other cycle still brakes your car. So it was basically a one-channel technology. The reason I mentioned the 2.2 kilowatt, in Europe, there's a gap for machines below 1.5 kilowatt and above 1.5 kilowatt. Just keep that in mind. There are different laws for really small instruments and a little larger instruments. So dispermats with current safety devices, they have an emergency off button. For the small dispermats, the cover is still an option. The limit switches should not be able to manipulate. You have a safe clamping and adjustable limit switches. So the question is always, you have different containers, and we have to make sure that with different containers, the customer can safely use the instrument. Smaller machines, we could use split covers. Some people use cartoon, yeah, but split covers would be one way to avoid that fumes can come out, but also that you don't put your fingers inside. We developed that together with BASF. We call it a grill cover, so you can still see the flow of the product, but you are not able to put your hand inside, because that is always the issue. The people are afraid that the user can put his hand into the system. Yeah, so a grill cover design for smaller dispermats is possible. Very popular is also what we call a hanging flat cover. You have a cover, for instance, this is on the protection shaft pipe. You can move it up and down, and you can use it for different containers. There's also versions where the requirements are really strict, where we have split covers with sensors. This is only to let you know, this is not something invented by Getzmann. We call it safety distances for reaching through openings of regular shape. So by law, there's openings with sizes. So for example, if you have an opening of 20 by 30 millimeter, 2 by 3 centimeters, you need 850 millimeter, 85 centimeters way to have a proper opening. So all this is not invented by Getzmann, it's by the law. It's not something we want to, but it's a must-have. You can see these are standard dispermats with current safety devices. The smaller machines without the cover, the larger with a hanging flat cover, the other one also with a hanging flat cover. So how we implemented this into our new controls, we have a control, we call it CN. That is pretty unique. We have an H1 and H2. These are two values we can select freely on the control panel. We set our lowest and our highest position of our dissolver disc. And we can also see the current height of the dissolver disc. So we want to reproduce our products. For that is quite important. So with more than 2.2 kilowatt, these controls are redundant. Yeah, with less, there's not a need of redundancy. So we have a 2-channel technology for machines more than 1.1 kilowatt. We have another control, it's called C3, it's pretty new on the market. You have also for this, you get the same H1, H2, actual height, but we have also clear error messages, we have redundancy, and we have the possibility here for vacuum, scraper, and timer, elapsed time, counting upward, downwards. You have a database, etc., etc. That is very often what customer comes to. The customer has not one container. In production, it's different. You have one container dedicated for one dissolver. In laboratory, you have multiple containers, smaller containers and larger containers, but you only want to use one machine. And we need to supply one safe machine for all of those different containers, including the covers. So the safety technology means for us that you can start the dissolver motor only if the container is safely clamped. We use the dissolver motor only if the disc is inside the container. We have an STO function. That is a function that no torque is built from the motor if the safety device is activated. It's important when there's an accident that the motor has no more torque to hurt any people. We need a shaft protection pipe, and usually this shaft protection pipe is extended, can be extended in length. We have an emergency off switch due to ISO certification category 6024, and it has to be a foolproof execution. The motor is integrated with thermosensors. The motor shuts down if it gets too hot. You have a noise level, which has, so you reduce the noise. The machines are delivered with CE certifications. And this is also quite important. Whenever you have offers from any supplier around the world, you should be able to see at least the risk assessment. So risk assessment is something the manufacturer has to do to judge his own machines, how risky they are. So we have also an EMV approved 2014 30U. We have lockable main switch, and we have a safe still stand of the column. That means the motor, the stand cannot go down immediately. So we have a safe still stand. We have a 2-channel technology to CAT EN ISO 13849 for machines more than 1.5 kilowatt. With cover, again, we have what we call a self-teaching function. Important for you that there is no grandfathering for old equipment. People say, yes, we have old equipment that is 20 years old. That machine is not state of the art, and you're not supposed to use it anymore. People do use it. Nothing happens unless you have an accident. If you have an accident, there will be investigations from unions, etc. So the user is responsible. You are responsible for the safety of your machines. That is the summary. We are a little bit short in time. Those are products you can see in the very east part of the world. You can see no shaft protection pipe. You can see no safety, no clamping, no nothing. So of course, safety costs money. Yeah, so keep that in mind. If you get a quotation from a supplier, prove how safe the machine is. So again, the lab has different containers from small to large. The handling should still be easy and comfortable. We have different position of limits. And we have a TÜV certificated safety module for that. So we realized the H1 and H2 not by something invented by ourselves. It was invented by ourselves, but it has been approved by the TÜV. And to give you an idea, when you start to evaluate a machine, you say how severe is the injury with a dissolver? And we say, okay, it's pretty, you get an irreversible injury. Does it happen often or not so often? We say, okay, it's maybe seldom. And then we say, how possible is it to have an accident? Is it less possible? Yes, it is less possible. So we come here to a D. So whenever you see, it's called PLD, Performance Level D. Yeah, so keep in mind this performance level. If you Google it, you will find performance levels in all different ways. This is the safety module we have designed. It covers the working area, H1, H2, the clamping system, and the emergency stop, all that in the PLD level with the redundancy, of course. So this is the DISPER, we call it DISPER safe, with the Cat3 PLD level. So with all the sensors, with all the emergency switches, sensors, inverters, all that made to that performance level. So we don't need external sensors. We provide a comfortable teach function for H1 and H2 because in the normal circumstances you have limit switches and you need manually to adjust the limit switches, which is okay for production machines, not so much for laboratory and pilot plant machines. However, we provide the C3 and the CN3 also for production machines, and we meet the actual functional safety from Europe and is TÜV Nord certificated. Let me go through very quick through explosion proof. What does it mean? What is an explosion? What is the classification we make? It's a sudden chemical reaction. Flammable substances may be present in gas, and an explosion can only take place when three factors are present: the dust, the oxygen, and the spark or the heat leads to the explosion. There are 13 possible sources for this, and for us, hot surface, mechanical generated sparks, electrical sparks, and static charge are those most important. Actually, static charge is for most explosion necessary. We concentrate on zones usually for gases and vapors, zone 1, zone 0, 1, and 2. Zone 0 is present or continuously areas. Zone 1, it's occasionally, and zone 2, infrequent. And that is an example where we have the different zones. The zones are not defined by VMA Getzmann. It's defined by the customer himself. So the customer is responsible to see which zone is really necessary in his production. In our case, for example, you have a small DISPERMAT where you have zone 1 for the whole machine. For a production unit, you may have zone 1 outside. It's wrong, and it's maybe zone 0 inside the container. You'd get different temperature classes. We operate usually with a T3 temperature class and temperature up to 160 degrees Celsius. And then you have, at the end of the day, you have a labeling, a group, an equipment category, a type of production, a gas group, temperature class, and a production level. So we have zone 0, 1, and 2. It's important for you, what type of gas do you have, and also what temperature class do you have. We call this concept an integrated explosion protection. Getzmann needs to approach on a safe design. We do this for mechanical. We are getting a little bit short in time, so we have the mechanical ignition, that is the heat generated by friction, the sparks of grinding, sparks by hitting the dissolver disc on the side, or static load. And we do have also this for electric ignition. These are electric arcs, hot surfaces because of electrical energy, or electrical equalizing current. For Getzmann, we have all different zones. We offer machines for zone 0, zone 1, and zone 2. I have to say most common is zone 1. Those are machines, laboratory machines, for example, built for zone 1. You can see the control box is in a housing. That is a C control on the right side. It's a more simple control where you have only the speed indication. It's a larger instrument also for zone 1. That is small laboratory machines, which are less expensive, are built for zone 2. There's all different accessory available for those machines. Yeah, this is just to give you an idea, the family. So we do offer machines anywhere from 0.3 kilowatt up to 55 kilowatt. This is below, of course, what a company like Net is doing. We are in like the smaller field of production equipment. Most important for this is to keep in mind the company is responsible for the safety and also for the explosion-proof areas. And we can help you and offer you, due to the latest laws, the correct machine. Those are machines in a new production facility for a customer, just to give you an idea. And of course, the production machines are very often only used with one individual container. So then we use H1, H2, but it's not that important compared to pilot plant or laboratory machines. Usually we go for exhibitions. There are no exhibitions, so we do it on Teams, which is a bit strange for me. The European Coating Show, actually yesterday it was an announcement, is cancelled for this year, so it will only be back in 2023, unfortunately. But you will find us on exhibitions. You can find us on the internet, or you can contact Lumaquin at any time for further information. That is the last slide. The last exhibition in Nuremberg on the European Coating Show, showing different models from our machines. Yeah, I hope it was a little bit fast, but the time is pushing. I have only 25 minutes to talk. If you have any questions, you can ask now. You can also write an email to Lumaquin or to myself, and we were happy to answer those. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Christian.
Yes.
As you said, vamos a ver si alguno de los visitantes tiene alguna pregunta. We're still having a couple of minutes, so let's see if any of the attendees has got a question. If not, we'll leave it here. As you said, they can contact Lumaquin. They can find the details in the exhibitor list.
Correct. Yes.
Chema, no sé si me oyes.
Sí, estoy aquí.
Una última pincelada.
Well, thank you very much, Christian. Thank you for your support, as usual.
Yes. Thanks a lot for that. Yes.
Very good pictures, good presentation, and we'll see you. Okay.
Okay.
Then if we don't have any questions, we can pass the turn for the following. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Jose.
Talk to you in November. Bye bye.
Yes.
Okay.
See you in November. Bye bye. Take care.